I am very grateful for all the things I've learned about ranching, farming, tractoring, irrigating, and homesteading. One thing I haven't seen in the YouTube world is how to maintain, rebuild, fix, correct, whatever the word may be, your ditch pump, your dirty water pump, your pasture pump. And this has been a project of mine for a long, long time. The last couple of months, I've lost a lot of water, a lot of shares of water here in Idaho. I'm on shares. So let me show you the system and I'll walk you through it real quick, okay? Right here, we got the ditch. It goes from my neighbor's house, through my house, through my pasture, and to the neighbor's property and forward. And the sellers had a pump here. I've replaced the pump and did a whole remodel here on the pump and the valves, and I'm going to walk you through it all right now. All right, world, this is what we got. We got a system here that I can completely disassemble to service at any time. I have a screw right here on the intake. On the intake, it has a anti-backflow valve. I got a 32 mesh by Action Machining. It's the biggest mesh they have for filtering water. A lot of people use a smaller mesh for their well. I got the biggest mesh possible because we're pumping in dirty water, so you're going to expect dirty water. And this here is my pre-filter. It's my only filter, to be honest with you, because what I was having problems with was sucking in a lot of weeds. And by sucking in weeds, it gets stuck into my jet pump. This is the Red Lion jet pump that I got. It's 1.5 horsepower. I got at D&B here in Idaho. It's a great motor. It works well so far, but when it gets clogged, I have to disassemble it, use a coat hanger, pull the weeds out, and it just simply takes forever to put back together. So with this pre-filter, I can clean out the clogs here instead and move on very quickly and get on with the rest of my day. As the water comes in here, this is where I prime it. I have a PVC ball valve here, and from here I can prime it, check things out, and get that water onward to the valves. Each valve I took apart and used a screwdriver, my thumb, etc., and scraped off all the silt from each individual valve. The valves were covered in silt. Again, I dug about 800 pounds of silt out of this ditch to clean it up. I put new snake fence in here in efforts of filtering the water before it gets to the intake. And I used some wood here because this PVC pipe here with the pre-filter does get a little heavy as the water comes in. From there, this water is going through the valves and into Rainbird 35A sprinkler heads, and I'll show you that in a second. But right now, I'm going to plug it in, and let's see if it needs a priming. Give it 5 seconds here, see what happens. It's got to go through the pre-filter here because I opened it up, so it needs a little bit of push. All right, time's up. Let's get some water in there. You hear it? There we go. That was an excellent start. Low maintenance. From there, it goes to my 35A sprinklers. On this one string, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sprinkler heads. All right. Once it leaves the valves, it goes to 3/4 inch PVC, which I don't prefer. And then when it comes out of the ground up, it goes to some metal piping, and each sprinkler head has a ball valve that I can shut off, service each sprinkler head individually, and then shut it back on at each individual sprinkler head. One thing that I recommend is don't cheap out and go with the Rainbird 5000, which is the plastic valves, plastic sprinkler heads. They are simply not throwing enough water compared to these 35As. And on top of it, listen to the 35A work. Ain't that something? I love the sound of 35As. What I noticed right now is that I had the 35As in the back pasture going on, and these ones turned on by themselves. What that tells me is that the rubber inside of each Rainbird valve is probably aged out. And so the next step for me is to go to each individual valve, pull all the guts out, and put new guts in. All right, I'm here in the barn. As I mentioned, the next step in my remodel project and my irrigation system is to put new guts in each valve. And for 1.5-inch valves, the math proves that buying brand new valves, the full thing, these are 1-inch, 1.5-inch Rainbird valves, is basically to buy brand new valves, take the lid off, put the guts back in, put the new lid on top, rewire it, and call it a day. The base of these valves for my system are in pretty good condition, so I'm not worried about that. It's the insides that I really need functioning well to make sure my auto timer system's working great. I hope this helps, guys. It's fucking hot as hell out here in Idaho right now, and I finally got this system up and running after a couple months of grinding through it. And I hope this helps my YouTube community.